start Raw this week with a flashback from last week of Berserker Braun's massacre in the back and out in the ring, destroying Sin Cara, Titus O'Neil, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, as well as Christmas and Mick Foley's hopes and dreams. Speaking of Christmas, I hope you enjoyed yours. This is the awesome shit that I got from our lass. Cheers Red, you're spot on, and that's it for Christmas from me. We're graced with the presence of Stephanie McMahon this week. There's no Mick Foley. I can only assume he's locked himself in his Christmas room at home after what Braun Strowman did last week, and is just weeping continuously. Funnily enough, Stephanie gets less booze than Roman Reigns, but the crowd goes straight into a CM Punk chant. She has a pop at Punk. She mentions his quick loss, which I thought was a bit of a dig at him and not a dig at the fans, because he's not actually doing anything to aggravate. He's just getting on with his own shit, and I think it'd be daft for her to have a pop at, talent and potential money-making people, when it's the fans that are aggravating her. So, to me that's a little inclination that, the door's not closed completely. She's not that daft, she's not that ignorant, she can hear that people are cheering for her, she's not as bad as her old man is, but never mind. Seth Rollins comes out and asks if Stephanie gave Triple H his balls back for Christmas, and then he begs for Triple H once again. Then Seth refocuses and demands Braun Strowman because of his attack last week. That brings Roman Reigns out, who wants a piece of him too. The crowd are just all over fucking Roman Reigns. Stephanie floods the basement, like in public, as you can see, just at the idea of a Shield reunion. And then she mentions that for Christmas she wants a three-way, which she's denied. Steph builds the fans up with the idea of a Shield reunion, and then she just cuts the red off. And then she makes a couple of matches, Seth versus Braun Strowman for later on, and then Roman Reigns defending his US title against an opponent of her choosing. And then she's also made the New Day versus Cesaro in a tag team title rematch. What's next? Before we get into the tag team championship match, Big E decides to give some bootio facials to fans at the front row. Pretty sure this little fat kid was even eating all the bootios off the guardrail, the ones that had fallen off him. Seemed to sort of that'd probably get him off the floor too. The New Day opted to put Kofi and Xavier together for this match, and I'm quoting Michael Cole here, but they put them together for quickness and speed. Yeah, because they're two separate things, aren't they, Michael, you bellend? I enjoyed another match between these lads. They put on a good show. Xavier didn't see Sheamus' blind tag. He went to hit Cesaro with the honour roll, but ended up eating a bro kick instead. Looked fucking nasty. Despite the music being pretty cool, because it sounds like Kurt Angle's theme song's doing a cover of John Cena's theme song, it's on fucking SmackDown. This is Raw. Piss off. We're informed that we're only 5 weeks away from the Royal Rumble. The whole thing so far has just been billed as Brock Lesnar versus Bill Goldberg, with everyone else fighting around them. Oh yeah, and Goldberg's going to be on Raw next week. In the back, Braun Strowman starts scaring people away like a pedo in a playground, until he bumps into Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens says that Braun's probably next in line for his title, but he should really just focus on the Shield for now. Jericho joins in aggravating Strowman by saying what he's heard on the rumour mill, just talking shit and trying to annoy him. Owens chimes into this tune as well and says that Rollins suggested Strowman starts doing CrossFit, because CrossFit wankers know best. Strowman's patience starts to wear thin with Jericho, and he's had enough of his crap. Strowman leaves and Jericho and Owens manage to escape unscathed. Well, this segment left me feeling conflicted, very fucking conflicted. We start off with Golden Truth in the back, which is just a head fuck in itself. They're like herpes, you can't get fucking rid of them. I've not seen them for a while and I thought they'd gone for good, but lo and behold, we've still got them hanging around. And then it seems like it's going to get worse when cheery, smiley, huggy Bayley turns up. But it turns into a nice little moment where she gives him a Dusty Rhodes bear. And I thought, you see, they've got the potential there to actually touch me and to touch us in nice ways. But then the club show up, decapitate the bear, and it just turns to 5-year-olds again. So, we can't win, can we? Fuck's sake. We get a quick recap from last week of Nia Jax knocking Sasha Banks around. And then Sasha Banks sent out this tweet, so, be warned. Following on from that, we've got Nia Jax versus Little Miss Jobber. For some reason she's been interviewed outside the ring, fuck knows why. She's wearing a Sasha Banks t-shirt, which just obviously enrages Nia Jax further, and she finishes it pretty quickly with a Samoan drop. After the match, Nia tells the jobber that she should have picked a better role model. I agree, then she hit her with a leg drop. Although we're not shown what they're discussing, Charlotte Flair and Stephanie McMahon are just finishing up a little meeting as Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens appear in her office. They say they're there to make an official complaint against Mick Foley because of all the trauma Chris Jericho sustained so far, and what's going to happen to him at the Royal Rumble when he's suspended above the ring in a shark cage. His agoraphobia and arachnophobia are both playing up, and he's scared that Foley's going to put spiders in the cage to cause a massive breakdown. Stephanie agrees and says she also hates people in authority that abuse their power. She says that Roman Reigns has a US title match later on, and she decides it's going to be against Kevin Owens and not Chris Jericho like Owens suggested. Owens is happy and Jericho doesn't seem overly pleased with the idea, but they go ahead anyway. Oh well, it's my favourite time of the week, it's Divas time, woo! Yeah, Bayley comes out and I'm fucking bored already. I pretty much drop off when Charlotte comes out and she shows last week, said that her shoulder was up, which it was in fairness, but I just don't care. We've just had a million fucking rematches. Anyway, she says she met with Stephanie earlier on and she's already spoken to a lawyer, and they've had the loss from last week erased. I want to skip this bit, and I would have done if I didn't have to fucking do this rant, so, you know, fuck you all for making me watch this. Seeing as she's only 2-0 behind now, Charlotte decides to let Bayley have another shot, but this time she's got a referee that she's pre-approved, and that's Dana Brooke. So now we've got the rematch from Charlotte versus Bayley. Dana Brooke's a special guest referee. To be fair to Dana, she's the most authoritative referee I've seen in years. She got in there and split them up when she needed to, and then Bayley hit her with a Bayley to belly. Another referee came out. Eventually Bayley hit the Bayley to belly on Charlotte, and then just before the new ref could count to 3, Dana pulled him out and broke it up. As Bayley came out and chased Dana, Dana skipped back in the ring. Charlotte rolled her up and we had feet on the rope and the fast count, and just dragging this out even more. After changing her knickers from being stuck between Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins earlier on, Stephanie McMahon wanders around backstage to find Braun Strowman strangling a random employee. He says he was interrogating him about Sami Zayn and he didn't answer quick enough, so, yeah, you know, so he gets choked. Stephanie tells him he should focus on Seth Rollins tonight, but Strowman says he's multitasking and is dealing with Seth and Zayn at the same time. Stephanie gives him a one-on-one match with Sami Zayn next week in order to keep his focus on Seth tonight, but Braun demands it's a last man standing match. Stephanie adheres. Now that Steph's done something for Braun needs to do something for Stephanie. She tells him to make sure Seth Rollins is destroyed tonight, so that Triple H doesn't have to worry about much in the future. And then she reminds him to drop his straps after the match and flash his nips at the hard cam / Vince. You know, 'cause Daddy likes that. Graves, Cole and Saxton give us a recap of Neville's heel turn in the last couple of weeks, and then Austin Aries replaces Byron. I don't know why they don't just take Byron out back and put a bullet between his eyes, for fuck's sake. It's such an improvement, even if just for 5-10 minutes. This sets us up for a match between Neville and TJ Perkins. Sadly, the crowd are still bored of the Cruiserweights. They even start an Austin Aries chant, to which Aries said on commentary, "I love you too, Chicago, but let's watch the match," which is right, but he can't really control anything from where he is. I think it's just the presentation that the fans just aren't sticking with more than anything, not the action in the ring, because that's all great. Perkins went for a knee bar, but Neville blocked it and grabbed the tights for the win. And then after the match, Charles the Dwarf interviews Neville the Hobbit. Neville just reiterates that the fans never got behind him for the right reasons before. He actually turns on the Yanks and says it's the Yanks' ignorance and arrogance that made them fail to get him when he's tried to get over before. And he was just saying how Americans don't understand his voice, or like his face, or like his personality and find him bland. But rather than just saying the WWE Universe, he seems to be rather focused on getting at Americans, which I don't know where they're going. Just your stereotypical American stereotyping of English people always being the villains in movies, I suppose. If you watched / listened to me last week, you'll know that I was not amused at Enzo Amore's sensitivity training. Well, the first hour and fucking 2 minutes was shit, but the last 2 minutes where Enzo got his ass handed to him were pretty amusing. Rusev and Jinder jumped him, Lana slapped him, and then Rusev rock-bottomed him through a table, while screaming, "You didn't learn your lesson." We then see Bert and Ernie backstage. Either Bert's pushing Ernie or Ernie's pushing... I don't fucking care, they're both gobshites. Just get it over with and fuck off. That's SmackDown. This is Raw. Yeah, that's SmackDown too. And this is still fucking Raw. And, yeah, well, 3 for 3. Yeah, this is fucking Raw. That's SmackDown. What are you doing? I don't give a fuck. I don't want Corey Graves putting over SmackDown's roster. As far as we're concerned, the other show doesn't exist. They're meant to be giving this impression of competition, so they shouldn't be plugging their fucking shows. Piss off. Even if Maggle Cole does fucking backpedal at the end by saying, "Right, we're back to the A brand now," just fuck it off. More from Enzo and Cass now, sadly. We get shown a picture of Enzo's ass from last week with a massive fucking bruise on it. Enzo shows that he's good at rhyming. It's just a shame he's about as funny as the clap is in a brothel. No, because he's out of action, it's Kaz's turn to talk now. This is going to be fucking fun. Rusev comes out with Lana, and he's followed by Ninja Mahal. They pincer Kaz, but Enzo trips Mahal off the apron. This gives Kaz a chance to take out Rusev, and then for some reason, the ever fucking bright big Kaz throws his injured mate at Jinder Mahal on the outside. Well done, big lad. Since the WWE have done such a fantastic job at diluting the women's divisions by having them split over 2 brands, by having the Cruiserweights exclusively fight each other and then putting them on their own show, they've decided to create a UK-only championship. Hopefully just that's not going to fuck everybody else over, like Neville and Sheamus, etc. And hopefully it's just going to be a different promotion that they can feed the main roster with. No, come on now, what the fuck is that? I thought last week was bad when they presented them with the fucking certificates, and now they've got that as part of the gimmick. Come on, Bo Dallas is worth so much more than this, what's going on? Thankfully the crowd agree with me, and they chant "Thank you Strowman" for coming and destroying everybody and just ruining the match. Now that Strowman's warmed up, / blown up, he's ready for Seth Rollins. Rollins brings a jump and dodge game against Strowman's charge and swat for 5 minutes. Sami Zayn eventually appears and attacks Braun, causing a disqualification. They leave through the crowd, and then as Rollins is still on the ground in the ring, Jericho appears, sneaks in, code breakers him, and just grins like a twat. Brilliant. Evidently, Kevin Owens enjoyed the double code breaker to Seth Rollins. Charles the Dwarf appears and starts asking him questions, but she annoys him, so he just fucks her off. Jericho eventually joins in, and then they say they'll be dual champions and then bugger off because Charles the Dwarf's annoying both of them now. Emmalina does some narration for a little video package for this week, for the first time in about 6 months or however long it's been fucking going on for. She says you've been so good, you've waited so long, but she promises it will be worth the wait. I really don't see that happening. It's been far too long now, they've just dragged this out. She could come out next week and get Boob and Bush out, I don't think anybody would give a fuck. For fuck's sake, WWE, if you're going to insist on having the Golden Truth perform, put them on during the fucking adverts, please, so I don't have to listen to their entire theme song all the way through. I could see the look in people's eyes in the crowd. It's a good job they couldn't see mine. In the end, Anderson got a roll up with the tights, which just proved nothing and solved nothing for the whole situation, so I'm guessing we've got another serving of this soon. Great. In a brief follow-up from last week's Noam Dar sex pest antics, Rich Swann spots him trying to get his end away in Dana Brooke backstage. Fuck off SmackDown, I'm watching Raw. Fuck off SmackDown, 'cause I'm watching Raw. Yeah, you get the point. Fuck off SmackDown. This is Raw I'm watching. Behave. Rich Swann made light work of Rhea Daivari with that beautiful spinning hook kick. Chuck the Dwarf accosts him on the ramp and asks him to respond to Neville. Upon accepting Neville's challenge, Neville appears and jumps him, paggers the absolute fuck out of him, even hits him with a red arrow just to really stick it to him. While recovering in the back, Daivari blames his loss on scoundrels such as Jack Gallagher. Jack Gallagher appears and challenges Daivari to a duel. While Daivari is looking confused, he gets a glove slap right in the face, bitch. Yeah, but that's happening on 205 Live, and I'm not that interested, so unless they show highlights of it on Raw next week, I'm not going to see the conclusion to that. Once again, they mention Goldberg's going to be on Raw next week. This time it's accompanied by a video package of what he's done so far since coming back. It's been a while, but Roman Reigns defends his US Championship against Kevin Owens now. 5 minutes in, Chris Jericho comes out, and then the rest of the match pretty much turns to distractions and rest holds. We build towards a distraction and Kevin Owens codebreaker, but he only gets a 2 count. Then Seth Rollins comes out, pedigrees Jericho on the outside. Rollins gets a super kick from Owens, but then Owens just walks straight into a spear, and we're done. Down, 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 down. Remember last week, boy? Roman reminisces and gets that twinkle in his eye. But Owens is safe, Seth just wants to pedigree him, and then as Jericho's getting to his feet on the outside, he gets a beast of a spear too, and the show's done. Luckily Owens falls off the apron on top of Jericho so they can have a nice little hug while they recover. And that's me done for another week. If you'd like to comment, please follow the link in the description to the Botchmania site and do so there. If you prefer Twitter, I can be found at Blunt Damage. If you like my theme music, the band are The Colour Fire, and they can be found at www.thecolourfire.com. Please feel free to like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.